On today's episode, I interviewed the founder of an Oregon, Portland-based direct-to-consumer brand called Findlay Hats. They share how he built and nurtured a rock-solid community of 100,000 fans, advocates, and collectors for their patented customized hats. It's a terrific episode you don't want to miss, so do stay tuned. There are a few brands that come to mind, when you're talking about the whole Shopify space, the direct-to-consumer space that have been bootstrapped, and this is one of them. Well, I have Jimmy, who's the co-founder of Findlay Hats, and they're a community-driven, hat company, essentially, selling direct-to-consumer, and they've been around for, I think, 8 years. And today we want to kind of explore how important community is in on one-to-one communication with your community in actually building a brand out long term. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Jimmy to the show. Welcome, Jimmy.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. Happy to be here.
Before we kick off today's show, I'd like to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Is your e-commerce store powered by Magento, BigCommerce, Commerce Cloud, WooCommerce, or a custom CAT platform? Is it slow? Does it have too many fields or involves too many steps to complete a purchase? Enter Bolt. It's the fastest e-commerce checkout in the industry, period. Bolt loads 10x faster than native checkouts with an average checkout duration of just over 30 seconds. Bolt is mobile native with no scroll on mobile screens. It offers a zero fraud guarantee and has 42% fewer fields than native checkouts. Bolt supports Stripe, Apple Pay, PayPal, and several more payment gateways and providers. Bolt helped luxury sunglasses brand Dita reduce checkout abandonment by 32%, which resulted in a 50% conversion rate uplift. Don't lose customers at checkout, use Bolt. Bolt is offering a completely free bottom of funnel checkout audit to 2x e-commerce listeners. Head over to bolt.com/2x to get your free checkout audit now. That's bolt.com/2x. Fantastic. No, it's a pleasure to have you on here. I probably haven't done you sufficient justice in introduction. Could you take a minute or two to introduce yourself on Findlay Hats?
Yeah, so my name is Jimmy Findlay Hickey, and I run Findlay Hats. We are a hat company based out of beautiful Portland, Oregon, who's recently been making headlines for some interesting reasons with our protests here. It is a great little city filled with good people, and really happy to be in the Pacific Northwest and represent Cascadia. We make hats that are built for good times, and unlike anything else on the planet, all of our hats have a patented stampede lace on the front of them right there for the video viewers. This lace can be tied in different styles. You can use it, you can mix and match your outfit, match your shoes, tie it in different styles, different wood clips, give it a different look each day. But most importantly, that lace, we say it's built for good times with a simple little untie job there, boom, boom. The lace can also be brought down around your head to keep your hat on your head through good times. So next time you're out there on the water, sticking your head out of your limo, jumping out of helicopters, all that good stuff. The hat's going to stay on your head through those good times. We also have a hidden stash pocket inside all of our hats right there.
Okay.
It's in the front crown of the hat. And then we also have a lifetime warranty. So if anything happens to the hat, we'll fix it or replace it for free. No questions asked. And you'd be surprised at the amount of dogs that eat hats or situations we run into. We get a handful of return or orders every day that have some type of issue that we got to fix or replace. So a lot of hat companies out there don't offer that. And we say, we do it because our hats are built for good times. You don't want people to be afraid of their hat getting damaged while doing that good time. So,
are your hats made in the USA?
So they're finished right here in-house. The base hats are made overseas, either through our manufacturer or through a supplier in a couple different countries. There's just no competitive hat manufacturing process in the United States. Okay. Some of the key components, there's not a single place that actually produces the backing for the structure of the hat domestically. So even if you do make a hat in the United States, it's still outsourcing parts from other countries and at a cost that's significantly higher. but
I
we'd
lo-
love to.
yeah, I love the fact that you still finish them off, locally
Yeah, so
in your
we do as many
facility.
of the steps as we can right here. So while the base hat is from our manufacturer, we're still doing the embroidery. We're still
That's
laser
awesome.
cutting the
Yeah.
leather patches. We're still adding all of the grommets. We're still sublimating, cutting, sewing, and installing the pockets. So we're doing a lot of steps. I mean, almost we have 15 employees here, and at least 12 of them are pretty much all hands on with production. So compared to anyone in our space, I think we do as much or more than anyone else out there when it comes to production towards the hat process. And since our hats have extra steps in them, most of our competitors don't even, there's just steps that don't even exist for them. They just do the decoration and it goes out. So, we think
It's
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 an
it's
nice.
incredible how product focused your team is, or your company is, and it's reflected in the makeup of your team. You said 12 out of 15 of your employees involved in production. So it really means you take a lot of attention to detail in the product. Two other things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, two other things came to mind when you just introduced Findlay Hats. One was the patent, and now I forget the second one. The second one was in regards to, yeah. Let's start out with the patents, and I'll sort of bring the second point in. When did you get the patent in? By the way, the hats look wonderful. I love the innovation in terms of like the aesthetics with the tie and the functionality with the rope. That's really really clever. So when did you start to think that you will need a patent, or was that from day one?
So it's interesting that you mentioned we led with the community aspect of it, and we have such a strong community because from day one we couldn't afford a patent, or
Mhm.
we weren't sure if a little grommet and a lace and wood clip would even be protected, in that department. So a family friend who's an attorney, life lesson anyone dealing with attorneys, I learned it from this guy. Anytime you ever talk with an attorney about anything legal, figure out if they're charging you for their time or not. Always lead into the conversation with,
Am I being
hey, I have
charged?
a quick question. Am I being charged, or what is your rate? I have a quick question for you. So almost learned that one the hard way with that guy. And that was when I was a kid.
Oh,
I forget. I think it was when I come from a photo background, and I think I was talking about like copyright law, and I was like, he gave me like either way. So I was talking with him, and he's like, honestly, I'm not a patent attorney, but I don't think you can get a patent for that. So there's that you should probably plan to not be able to get it patented and figure out a solution around that. So that's where it kind of got the gears spinning. Like, okay, so we do have this unique technology, but it might not be able to be actually like protected. So maybe the next move is just to build a community that will, if anyone ever rips us off, our community will stand up for us and take down the competitor, or make it just too difficult to really get going, because it's like clearly that's our thing, and
mm,
that they would attack them and whatever, get them to hopefully stop stealing
yeah.
our thing. But luckily we were able to build a strong community, and we were able to get the patent, and we started looking into the patent probably, I'd say, a year or so into the brand existing.
Yeah.
A friend of a friend referred us to an attorney, and I sat down with him, and luckily he's a photographer, and I knew we kind of connected. What he was talking about was at a level where I could trust him, and I kind of was like, okay, if I can trust him on something I know well about, I feel like I can trust him on something I don't know well about.
Yeah.
And fast forward, it took like 2 or 3 years, probably over $10,000 now. And we got the patent a couple of years ago. I got it right behind me in the
Oh,
my
congratulations. Nice one.
on the
Visual
table.
too. Yeah. It's an achievement. It's an achievement for sure.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah, process.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely big process. Okay. So let's rewind back to 8 years ago. What was your why? What was the aha moment that got you to say, you know what, this is, I'm burning all bridges behind me, and this is what I'm going to do moving forward? Because it was 8 years ago. It was quite some time. So yeah, I'll be interested to find out.
So I mean, so again, I come from a photo background, and photography is super seasonal, and it's a difficult industry to be in. And I'm sure anyone in that world can relate that it's saturated with too many people. The entry point is too low. People aren't charging enough. I went to photo school, and the only client that I ever had that actually paid what I was told to charge was Nike. So, and every other client was, other than like for senior portraits and things like that, it was tough to make a living with it. So Findlay actually started more or less as a side project to stay busy through the slower months of the years. And I had a couple different concepts, a couple different ideas, and the hat company was the one that kind of had the most potential, seemed to have the highest growth opportunities. It would yield some good times affiliated with it by getting to, still get photo stuff involved. I could still use my creative outlet. So it seemed like it was the move, and started, no investors, no friends in high places. I had like $1,400 or so in my bank account at the time. And we bought and embroidered like 80 hats and got them set up, and kind of it grew out from there. But that aha moment, as far as to go all in, didn't happen until probably later that late spring, early summer, because we were getting a handful of orders a day. We would probably get 2 to 5 a day, sometimes 0, sometimes maybe 10. But I'd say later that spring, summertime, I was back in the photo game, kind of doing both. And I remember I was on a photo shoot, taking senior portraits for a new coming high school senior, and that whole photo shoot, I remember I was frustrated. I had to leave. Like, I was in the middle of a project for Findlay. The whole photo shoot, I was just like, okay, like when I'm done, I'm going to get $450. Like, it's going to be okay. Like, I was just thinking about the money. I was just thinking about how I wanted to get back to Findlay. I was not in the moment with my client. And I remember at that point, I was like, man, like, I don't need to do this anymore. And so that was the point where I flipped from Findlay being a part-time thing with my girlfriend at the time, Sarah, who's still our co-founder, and still works here, to like, okay, now I'm all in. And that was just this, I guess that aha moment was middle of a photo shoot, doing something else.
Okay, it's interesting. You're a co-founder. So let's talk about Sarah. Why did she get interested? Was it, let's just rewind. I just want to get a full context of how you built it before we jump into the marketing.
For sure. So Sarah is really crafty. She's always been a DIY. I think she has DIY or die tattooed on her.
Nice.
So she's, yeah. So she's, she's always had a creative outlet with that side of things. And so from the very, very early stages, she was helping with like the sewing. We did do a lot of beanies. We did apparel, like Western shirts. So she would stitch stuff together for that. She would do our pockets. So yeah, I mean, so from the early stages on, she was pretty much running our seamstress department, and then helping with production. So shipping, packing orders, all that side of things. And then as the company's grown, she's gotten more and more niched into just our seamstress department. And now she runs our 3-person seamstress department. So we do a lot of leather patches, and that pretty much keeps them busy all day, every day.
Incredible. Okay. So how did you get your first 1,000 customers?
Ooh. We got our first 1,000 customers. I think a big piece of the early stages that helped us was from my photography background. I networked with a lot of different action sports athletes, a couple people at the professional level, but a lot of people at the advanced amateur level. And through that, we were able to send care packages out, and we were able to kind of grow in different little cities. And a handful of Pacific Northwest cities that have a hub of extreme sports athletes and people, we were kind of able to target those people as friends. I mean, targeting sounds, a little malicious, but we just, we wanted to send them some free hats, and they wore our hats, and then people in the town took notice, and then it kind of snowballed from there. Our focus really early on was, and I forget where this isn't, unique to us. It was picked up in a book or from someone else, but we wanted to be the hometown hero before we could be a global brand. So we really focused on growing in the local community. And it's interesting because we're based out of Portland, but a lot of communities around us are a bigger hub for our customers than locally in Portland. And now we're trying to push locally in Portland a little more aggressively, because it's kind of a weird position to be in, where we're based out of the Northwest, and there's a lot of pride for this little corner of the United States.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we don't want to be seen as that Northwest brand that only sells Northwest themed stuff. So we don't, while we name stuff after places in our area, we don't necessarily use graphics of like our mountains, and we just don't want to be stuck as just seen as like, that Portland brand.
You want to be a global, you still want to have the Portland heart, but a global brand like Nike, is, I think.
Yes. 1000% that.
You
Yes.
think about Portland or Orlando, you think about what's it called, Nike, but you still, Nike is just, it's everywhere, right? It's global. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, I mean, our first 1,000 customers really just stemmed from
Local.
the initial people reaching out locally. Exactly.
Yeah.
And we got our head on a few key people, no one like with, tens of thousands of followers, no one huge and famous, but just a lot of, people like that. And then like the other aspect of it is from a very early stage. And to this day, we still spend a lot of time directly engaging with, talking with, communicating, helping our community, our customers, the Findlay Force. And from day one, that's been a big piece of it. And that involves going to someone's Instagram account and commenting on, a couple of their photos and asking questions and saying, wow, that's a cool dog. What's its favorite food? What is its coolest trick? So really like starting a bunch of these small dialogues. And while you can't, it's not easy to scale that without scaling people to do that. What that does is it just over time creates a pretty strong connection with the brand, and something that I think we've had a lot of life customers even from that first 1,000. Like I know our very first customer is still a collector to this day. So yeah, that's been a focus of it for a while, is just that direct communication. I think that also got us to that first 1,000.
So several conversations I've had, many businesses have started with, or we bought some Google ads, or we tested with Facebook, or we ran a Kickstarter campaign. But yours is quite unique in the sense that it was pretty much hand to hand. It was one to one at a community base, where it was local. You knew the people who were actually purchasing your hats. At the time, were you selling online at all, or was it pretty much selling be at the back of your car, or selling from a store, or selling from your warehouse, or selling from your house? What did it look like?
So we were running out of a living room at the time. So no storefront, no warehouse, we had a handheld grommet press and a sewing machine, and that was about it. A bottle of glue for our process at the time. So it was all online actually from the very beginning. And we started on Squarespace. And after about a year and a half, we switched to Shopify and haven't looked back from there. Online from the beginning, day one has been all e-commerce.
So what kind of learnings did you carry over from the local one-to-one interactions, and you pretty much were using local influencers in the extreme sports space to influence people's desire and want for Findlay hats for your brand, essentially. So what did you take away from the local quote unquote test online, and when did you start reusing that to an online audience?
So, I mean, I think even from an early stage, it was still kind of a mix of, while we were, a lot of our hubs were growing around the local people we had sent hats to, or our friends, or that side of things. It was still jumbled in with a larger audience, because we would send hats to people in other areas as well. So I think it kind of from even early on, it was a mix of both local and global, or at least, this continent. But I mean, it just, the strategy slowly evolved as we got more and more comfortable with it. I wouldn't necessarily say that it jumped from when we, like, the focus didn't one day say, okay, now that we've done well in this town and this town and this town, now let's look at, these towns. It just kind of naturally came as the web of people who became aware of us spread out. There was no major shift, I think, on that end. Just we learned more every day as we went.
Okay, so as a brand has evolved, over the years, what have been your primary methods of acquiring customers? How do you gain attention to your target market, to at least start to generate some interest and awareness top of funnel?
So 2017 was the year that we actually really started dialing in our Facebook advertising platforms. I can dive into that, but prior to that, we didn't really have a very strong advertising presence. We didn't really have any top of funnel strategy outside of just trying to build that community again. So I think we really relied heavily on word of mouth, on we would do contests. We were partnered, or not partnered. We've collaborated with a bunch of different companies and brands and that side of things. So through those collaborations, we would get our brand in front of new companies, new audience, and that side of things. So that would help us grow. We would sponsor events and just send, a dozen free hats to a rock climbing competition or a skateboard event or a street festival. So
let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsors. Klaviyo is a growth marketing platform that powers over 25,000 online businesses. Klaviyo understands every single customer interaction and empowers brands to create more personalized marketing moments. Listen, analyze, and act on your customer data with Klaviyo. Visit klaviyo.com/2x.
That side of things helped us grow slowly. And all of that stuff worked okay, but we were, a 4-person team based out of a garage at that phase. And, we were still averaging maybe 5 to 10 orders a day. So, like doing okay for, the 4 of us and not, but not at a scalable e-commerce brand. And again, our focus at that time was still really heavily on just like long-term growth over immediate, rewards from it and building a brand, not a single product. And we were still kind of ironing out our processes, ironing out our equipment. The first opportunity that really blew us up was, and I'll just briefly touch on this, but we ran into the first trip Sarah and I took back when we were still dating was a trip to visit my sister in Italy. She was studying abroad. It was the first trip we took in I think since we started Findlay. We took 10 days off to do it. And either way, we ran into someone from the UK actually who was wearing a Findlay hat.
Wow.
And I took a picture with the guy and was really excited about it. And then went and toured the Vatican that day and then posted on Reddit that evening. And it made the front page of Reddit. And our website did I want to say, it's been a minute now, but I want to say we had 60,000 views that day, which I'm pretty sure was, I think, half a year's worth of traffic for us or more. It's a crazy amount. And then we did 28,000 in sales, and it gave us a really cool opportunity to expand. It gave us, capital to invest in a new embroidery machine. It, obviously we reached thousands of new people and new customers. So that was another little platform that gave us a cool opportunity, was just through a viral post on Reddit.
What made it viral?
I've been using Reddit for I think 11 years now, and I have a pretty good understanding for how the hive mind there works. I've had maybe 5 to 10 things get to the front page over the years. I know that's, it's a weird metric to care about or pay attention to, but obviously it paid off there. But I think it made the front page because it was relatable. The story, it was in the pick subreddit, and the post was just I run a small hat company out of my garage in Portland, Oregon. I ran into someone on the other side of the planet wearing one of our hats. Pretty surreal feeling, to say the least.
Yeah, very
and
emotional.
yeah, exactly. And I think people can relate to it, and I think it had a little bit of a story to it, and it was just a simple snapshot of me and a guy standing in the Italian street. And but it and we still have customers to this day that found us on that from that one post. So that was probably one of the few major things that got us up there. But past that, I mean, talk about actual stuff that got us anywhere past that. 2017, we were having a bad year. We were behind our sales in 2016, and it was basically one of those things that was scary. We had doubled in growth every year prior, and now we were seeing a year where we were behind. And that got really scary that we needed to do something. So it became pretty clear that social media advertising was what works for so many brands. And it's a huge thing. And I was aware of it, and we would have a little bit of a budget towards it. but not really in a smart, strategic way. So I dedicated a couple of weeks to learning. I took the Facebook Blueprint course, and I took 2 courses on Udemy, and then kind of regrouped, replanned, and started actually putting together an organized social media advertising campaigns that involve prospecting and retargeting, and just a better solution than what we've been doing in the past, and also scaled our ad spend. And the first couple weeks of actually strategically advertising back in 2017, I mean, anyone that's been in the ad manager world, or knows the glory days. And I know I was late to it, and it still was insane. But I mean, we had days where our return was like a 15+ return on ad spend, like just ridiculous early on. And then it really, it mellowed out to more reasonable, results pretty quick. But it's still, for a long time, we saw really strong results. And the basics. What worked for us was we just made a new video that just super simple, 50-something seconds long. Maybe actually, I think the first ones were over a minute. But it just explained who we are, what we're all about, and why people should care. It highlighted the hats, highlighted our features, highlighted our team, highlighted a little bit of our story, in just a simple, upbeat video that has some cool shots in it. And then we put that in front of a lookalike audience to purchasers who didn't already follow us and weren't on our customer list. That was it. Super simple. And that alone, brought in hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales. And that, that just one single campaign brought in, and that allowed us I think we started in June. We saw our daily orders go from like the low 10s to over 100. That gave us the opportunity to expand into the space, hire on new people to keep up with demand. So strategic Facebook advertising, once we actually started implementing it, was the game changer for us, was the thing that really got us to the next level and helped us expand.
Super interesting. Do you still manage the Facebook ads account?
I do. We've worked with a couple different agencies. We've done a lot of different stuff, try different things. But doing it myself has been the best results. We've wasted a lot of time, money, and energy with agencies that it unfortunately didn't work out. We still use one that helps us with retargeting, and we're really happy with them.
Who's that? Is that Shoelace?
Shoelace. Shoelace. And we've been using them for a while, and we actually went back to them because when one of the agencies we were working with was basically, they're like, hey, our results aren't as good because you're not using us for retargeting. So you need to stop using them for retargeting and start using us for retargeting. Mm-hmm. So we switched, and then they were not performing well at all. And they were like hitting our break-even return on ad spend and being like, yeah, pretty good results today. Yeah. But what's interesting is it was, and this was last year when we were really trying heavy with the agencies. And once we stopped working with agencies and we brought it back in house, we also were like, okay, let's stop the focus on trying to scale and just switch our focus just back to, sustaining where we're at right now. Because last year we had a down year. After 2018 being awesome, 19 was down again. And so this year we came into it with a completely new strategy that we're not just going to rely on spending more and getting more in sales. We also need to completely change up the strategy. So what we've done this year is we added a new premium mystery box to our website, which is basically insane value. $100, you get three hats, a hoodie, a shirt, sunglasses, beanie, little goodie bag. Yeah, it's a good amount and free shipping too. So it's a good amount of stuff on there. So we add that, and a higher average price means we can spend more to bring in a customer. Yeah. So even though the margins are a little bit worse on that one, since it's so many items, we can spend more to acquire customers through it, and then the customer gets really good value. That's part of the the offer is good there. So that's one. And the other thing is we started, instead of doing seasonal launches, like a launch for spring, summer, fall, winter, we also started adding weekly exclusive hats. So we would launch new hats every single week.
Weekly drops.
That was huge.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Yeah.
because we do so much production in house, it's easy for us to make 24 of these, 36 of these, 100 of those, because it's, we have complete control over the process here. So we're able to do it end to end. And it's, it puts us in a unique spot by having the production house, because now, we can offer more limited stuff more frequently. So it basically to fix our advertising account, and obviously now it's a completely different ballgame with the pandemic situation. But even before that, in a normal circumstance, just being able to release something new every week, our return on ad spend was really, really strong, because people were, they want to see the new stuff, and people are interested in buying exclusive things. So that was a big game changer this year.
Yeah, very, very interesting, because what you did is you hacked the product. You didn't say, oh, let's try and look at it from a marketing standpoint. You're like, what we doing, operationally that can change, the psychology of people, how people are going to receive it. So you're top of mind in a very, high frequency manner, where, there'll be a group of people who want to, sort of see, what the latest hats this week, and they'll come again and again and again, and you build that momentum. And it's quite interesting.
100%. You're right. Totally changed, like on a psychological level, just changed the strategy there for
the approach,
perception on that end.
So as a business, what kind of gross margins are you? What are your gross margins like?
Like 10 to 15% roughly. It kind of varies, because right now we've been seeing such explosive growth due to the pandemic and more people shopping online, that we've been really, really reinvesting in our infrastructure here. So it's been a weird year in that our end of day, I guess our gross margins are high. Our net margins are in the lower. Sorry, our gross we're at gross is in like the 70% or so.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
Gross is pretty solid. I'm sorry. Yeah, net brings it down into the net's like 10, 15.
And that's where you want to be at the 7% mark, really. Yeah. So,
Sorry.
Okay.
Early morning. He's just getting a little bit of caffeine. But yeah, so we're pretty solid on that end. But then our because we have so much production in house, it's we have a pretty heavy weekly payroll, and we have benefits for our full-time employees. We pay competitive rates for what we do here. So it's we want to take care of our team, because like we kind of going back to that, we care about our product. If our team's not happy, if our people that are making it aren't happy, they're not going to care about these little high detail things that matter. So we try to have a really chill work environment. We try to we have just a good spot. And I don't know if you could hear the little dogs running around, but it's a dog friendly work environment. We got a good fridge filled with snacks, and anyone can request whatever they want. Got coffee on tap. Got a good mix of things in there. So I want it to be a chill work environment, and happy employees for that side of things. So but it comes with the cost of that adds some overhead, that pure e-commerce, like companies that don't do any production, that their only expenses are advertising, marketing, shipping, customer service. It definitely dips into our bottom line, just having 15 employees to feed.
But there's something very gratifying with that, especially if if the machine is working as efficiently as it should. It makes sense. Let's talk about community. I've sort of got an understanding of your origin, your why, which is very powerful, and your initial growth, and those key moments of growth that have changed the company. Now, you're a very community focused brand. You have a Facebook group for customers that spent over, is it $500 or $1,000 lifetime?
So it started at the entry to get in was you had to spend a $500 to do lifetime with us. But now the barrier of entry has decreased as the community's kind of evolved. But started being very pretty heavy level to get in, and now it's, I think, anyone that spent over 100 or has a couple hats we let in.
Okay, so what's the DNA of a Findlay tribe member? Let's call them tribe members. What would make them up, and how would you define them? I know you can't broad stroke them, but let's try and whittle it down to certain characteristics.
I think a really simple piece of it is just friendly,
Mm.
good individuals. I think
Yeah.
that's a simple way to broad stroke the situation with our community in there, because it is, while there's a few people who are kind of gatekeepers, there's a few people who are kind of snooty about their collection and who has what or who got what, and you'll find that in any community. I think as a whole it's filled with just good people who, like we, again, our branding is so strongly built around good times. I think it attracts the people that have that like positive mental attitude. So you'll see like an abundance of support for people that might be going through a hard time, and they will kind of even use our group for an off-topic chat about like a struggle that they're dealing with or a problem. So it's, to talk about community, it isn't just pure on the hats end. It's, there actually is depth to it. And I think a lot of the common things I see across that is that it's just friendly, positive people in that group. And it's all walks of life. It's really a really good mix of, people who do extreme sports and people who do hike and people who don't do anything at all, who are gamers. And
Okay.
it's again, we talk about, I mentioned in the pre-show that, our we don't necessarily want to be pigeonholed as just a skate brand, just a snowboard brand, just a surf brand or anything like that. We want to be a brand built for good times and people who enjoy those good times or having good times. So you go to our Instagram page and, a couple posts back, there's a picture of a whole baseball team wearing our hats. And you go a few posts before
Wow.
that, and it's our skate team. And those are two like historically very different groups of people, different communities, different networks, whatever. So, we're trying to bridge that gap and not necessarily be just for one demographic. And I think to simplify that, I think it's just people who, we want good people rocking Findlay.
Fantastic. And you talked about conversations. And this is a personal question because I do have a Facebook group, and I find it challenging sometimes, maintaining engagement. So this is a very selfish question. How do you keep engagement? How do you, as a moderator of a group, how do you, you just ensure that people are having the conversations you probably want to see, or people are interested in congregating in your space? What do you do? Do you post regularly? And
So, I mean, we do post regularly, and I think it's important so, we're doing it from the branding perspective. So we'll go in there and we'll post teasers, we'll post questions, we'll post flashback photos or things that we find that they might be interested in. We post exclusive content. We'll do, we do the weekly drops, but occasionally we just do like a one-of-one drop, and we'll sometimes announce it just to them. Or do like a contest to get that hat within there. So we definitely aid in the engagement and aid in the group conversation and provide, valuable, interesting, on-topic content for them. But at the same time, it's definitely evolved to the point where I could go a week without touching it, and it would still have a similar amount of active members in there. It's every time someone gets a new order, they post a picture of it and it starts a discussion on it. Every time someone gets a new trade, they thank the person for the trade.
Let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsors. Did you know that cloud-hosted e-commerce platforms like Shopify and BigCommerce do not provide automatic backups? Rewind steps in to protect Shopify and BigCommerce stores with automatic backups. Rewind is trusted by over 25,000 stores. Install Rewind and get to test it for free over 7 days. And to extend the 7-day trial to 30 days, head over to rewind.io, their website, and mention 2x eCommerce.
It's a surprisingly active community without our life support, without our extra effort or energy or anything at all. And I think that's it's a really cool feeling to do that, or to have it at that stage where it is self-sustaining. And obviously we can help, aid it to be better and aid that conversation in a way that benefits us from, any handful of perspectives. But I mean, at least at this point, we can add to it and help it improve, but it is to a fairly self-sustaining group. And it got there just through slowly building, slowly bringing on the right people. We've only had to remove a few that had bad attitudes. We had one person who scammed a few people in there. We've had a few little tiffs, little drama, but by and large, I think it's been a pretty positive impact and positive group all around. We have, pretty strict moderation in there as far as like rules. There's some rules like you can't post a thread just on like just wanting to trade, or you can't post a thread of like an idea, just because everyone in that group, over 1,000 people, has an idea that it would probably sell well for us, but we're not looking for outside ideas. Every single person has a good idea that would help our brand or do something, but we'd rather steer it in the direction of like, hey, we have an idea. What do you think we could do to make our idea better? And then you run into the drama. We've had this happen where someone's like, hey, you should make a hat that has this design on it. And then it's like we independently, it's like a fish or some low hanging, obviously we'll do something with that at some point. And then, 2 years later we make it like, that was my idea. You stole my idea. So you have to be really careful about that too, because, people will come after you for unsolicited ideas that we might've independently had so we just have kind of either way. So we have some strict moderation that helps it as well.
Yeah, makes sense. And that control is very important. So if you were to, going back to the Facebook advertising question I had, given the fact that you're hands-on with Facebook advertising, if you were to whittle it down to 1, 2, maybe 3 principles, what are the most important elements towards actually maintaining a Facebook advertising campaign?
Awesome. Happy you said 3. The dog brigade has arrived. So super simple. This isn't my philosophy. This is definitely stolen from a handful of marketers, advertisers, just random stuff over the years, but it's definitely true. Need to have strong content. It needs to be interesting. It needs to be engaging. It needs to stop the scroll. It needs to catch someone's attention. Whatever, the content needs to be, good. And that doesn't mean it needs to be professional, like I'm sure, you've seen good results on both ends of shot on an iPhone, shot on an expensive, digital camera, professional video production, filmed on, a GoPro, whatever. So the quality of it can vary, but as far as like the actual production value, but the interest, the engagement, the whatever stops and catches the person's attention is what's important about it. So some type of content that stands out, it can be from a flashy color to a high action shot to someone, an attractive person or whatever will stop the scroll through there, or a good product. We definitely rely heavily on just the product alone for a lot of our stuff and see good results with it. But you need just strong content, and that can vary. So that's one piece. 2, you need to be putting that. No, that's the third one. 2, the offer needs to be good. So there needs to be some type of strong call to action. The offer itself needs to be, like too good to say no to, or especially this is, I guess from a prospecting perspective, but a good reason, or finding new customers, a good reason to give your brand a shot, a strong selling point, a strong sales pitch, just something again where the offer makes sense and is appealing to the person. Because again, if it's like overpriced, if it's just like, why would I want that? What's the benefit for me? Like whatever. And again, this goes whole into copywriting. Like you want to sell the, people on the emotion, not the actual product itself or whatever. So that's a whole topic, a whole, thing to learn on just copywriting and what you're actually selling or what you're actually offering. But so strong offer, strong content, and then put in front of the right audience. So making sure that, it's actually targeted to people that it's relevant to, putting our hats in front of, a 70 plus, group of knitters, it probably wouldn't sell as well as if we did it in, a group of 20 to 25-year-olds who follow this, whatever symbol sport. So having a targeted audience. We found a lot of success with lookalike audiences. But we've also found success with just more general broad advertising, general audiences based on interests. Facebook's algorithm obviously is really good at things. So we've also seen success with extremely wide like audiences as well, except I feel like the results do vary and will be more hot and cold than a more selected audience.
Yeah.
So I think those are the main three pieces, and then obviously within each of those there's additional stuff. But I think strong offer, strong content to the right audience. I think those are the three that if you at least start with that at that point, it should be, you're setting yourself up for success. But another complete, I a lot of my friends talk to me about social media advertising, and you can have all of this stuff on point, and then your website, if it's not a high converting website, if it has problems, if it has just hangups, or doesn't look good, or doesn't bring trust, or show social proof, or your landing page is garbage, your website also has to be really, really good. So I mean, I think even with those three, you need to have the proper, funnel and proper website to make that happen.
Absolutely. And then a quick one on, actually, let's ask the same question around community building. So what three core tenets do you think, will help any brand looking to not just rapidly, but effectively build a community of enthusiastic fans, collectors like you guys, and and just enthusiastic people who are willing to be advocates of the brand?
Wow. Three. Let's see. I think having a genuine care for the people, and actually, like to whatever degree that means, but not just being fake, not just being like, cool, thanks for the comment, but actually, really trying to like find a way to relate to the person and discuss something that they're passionate about. Because, and I learned this through photography. This is a photo trick that if you're, I took a lot of photos of senior portraits. I don't know if that's a thing in the UK or not, but I would take pictures of students in high school before they graduate for their parents, for their yearbook, whatever. And so I'd be taking photos of people that weren't comfortable in front of a camera. And a way to get someone comfortable in front of a camera, especially a stranger, someone you don't know, is to find out what they're passionate about or what they like, and start asking questions about that. And when you can relate to someone on something that they're passionate about or something that they're into, like a little spark will come out of them. A little bit of, you can see, and obviously this varies person to person, but a lot of times you can, they'll feel a little bit more relaxed when they're talking about, their horse or whatever they enjoy, because that's something they're comfortable about or they're comfortable with. And then that comfort reflects in their body language. That comfort reflects in their face. The photos show a comfortable subject. So put that into the marketing world. If you're able to directly relate with someone who, is really into four-wheeling or whatever, you can, be like, oh man, those trails look really cool. Where did, what's one of your favorite backwoods areas to go to? Or, like just talk to them about something that they're clearly into. And what that does is now when they engage with the brand, they're not just engaging with the company, but they're also connecting us mentally with that positive memory of their passion or sport or whatever. So, just a lot of those little things I think really help build that genuine connection, because it's not just a brand saying cool bike. It's, oh man, a Kawasaki, like my cousin had one of those. I've lost my finger on it or whatever. So I think that's a little piece of it, just actually trying to go above and beyond the communication. And again, we spend probably 20 to 40 hours a week between the two of us, our head of customer service who helps with our social media marketing, and myself, between just doing that type of direct communication with that. So I think that's one piece of the community building. And then I think just on the customer service end, we haven't really touched on this, but we really take pride in having superior customer service. We'll pretty much, we'll fix any hat if there's any issues, full refund if anyone is not fully satisfied, free shipping, try to always do whatever we can to go above and beyond. If we mess something up, we send store credit, we send a free hat, we send this, so we always basically, we'll do whatever we can to fix the solution. So we don't have a lot of people out there that have a bad memory with us. And typically if someone has a bad experience with us, which we definitely make mistakes when it comes to shipping, when it comes to whatever, but their memory with that interaction isn't just, okay, Findlay sent me the wrong hat. It's Findlay sent me the wrong hat, then they went above and beyond and sent me the hat I wanted plus a discount code, and let me keep the wrong hat, or whatever. And it's not, it's not like that crazy, but excuse me, making sure every person that has an interaction with our brand has a positive, neutral to positive experience. We have a very few actual bad experiences, and generally that's a person that couldn't have been happy anyways. So we really try on the customer service end to make sure that everyone has a positive experience with our brand, and that kind of reflects outward, because now we have the social proof, now we have the word of mouth, now we have the feedback on our website, now we have someone who comments on our post saying, hey, I just got this mystery box, I'm so excited to order another one, and then that expands outward. And like I think I forget what the rule on the internet is, but it's like 98 whatever percent of people don't actually comment, don't actually engage, don't actually do anything, but they read the posts. So we have so many people through the social proof that are saying all this positive stuff, and that is being seen by a lot of people, even though they're not necessarily commenting. So that's it. And then third of those would be, so customer service being one, actually caring about the customers the other, but then also just having a strong product. You talk about how our hats actually have features that no other hats have. We have the warranty, we have the lace, we have the pocket, we have unique designs, we have a brand that is identifiable that we're obviously still trying to grow, and get to a point where it is a global brand, where it is I want to go to downtown Portland and every day see one of our hats. Right now it's like maybe 1 out of 4 times I'll see someone wearing our hat, maybe, if I'm lucky. So we're trying to grow the branding of it, but so that's another piece of it too, that it kind of the branding aspect of it is another, or the product aspect of it is another piece that kind of brings it all in, because without the strong product, without something people are proud to wear, without something people want to trade or show off, or make them feel comfortable, or make them feel cool, or make them feel whatever emotions they tie with our brand, I think the two other ones would crumble, because there wouldn't, the product needs to be strong as well. And that's what we learned through our advertising this year, is that even we didn't change our advertising strategy. We didn't add a new video or photo. We spent $15,000 last year on some video campaigns that turned out amazing, and I don't think the return on those has been as high as our simple old video that is poorly, not poorly filmed, but not at that production
not professional, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And same with and just simple photos of 2 hats, someone holding 2 hats, outperforms any of those high budget, high production videos. So, this year we haven't changed the product. We haven't changed our community approach. We haven't changed our customer service. Sorry, we actually did change the product. The only thing we did change was we started offering more frequent products and that side of things. So, that was a missing to it by having a more frequent launches. Helped all the other stuff.
Yeah. But those are like very solid points. Genuine care for your customer, superior customer service, and then a strong product. A strong product reminds me of what Warren Buffett says about moats, a moat product. Where you have that competitive advantage, and then your margins, your gross margins are also really quite nice at 70%. So you're able to sort of double down. Another question I had, which I hadn't even asked earlier, was like international. You talked about the fact that you met a British person at the Vatican in Europe, all the way in Europe. Do you sell internationally, and are you sort of making a push internationally if you do?
So most of our focus is on North America. Mm-hmm. We did have a distributor in the UK, mm-hmm. And it just didn't take off. The focus wasn't there, I think, and it was kind of either way. So we've looked into it. We've had a little bit of distribution in Sweden. We had a little bit of distribution in Peru.
Let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsors. Klaviyo is a growth marketing platform that powers over 25,000 online businesses. Klaviyo understands every single customer interaction and empowers brands to create more personalized marketing moments. Listen, analyze, and act on your customer data with Klaviyo. Visit klaviyo.com/2x.
And then our biggest one would be actually Australia, and Australia is still active of the 4 outside distribution channels. And we're definitely, it's always been United States, Canada, Australia have been our 3 biggest hubs, with United States being 98% of the sales, maybe 95 now, but I don't know. But So we're interested in growing globally, but the issue, maybe not the issue, but the challenge is, we're still trying to be the hometown hero, right? We're still trying to be that, just reach a national scale domestically. And the effort to build a brand, bring it, to a new country has been surprisingly challenging. As you can see, that 3 of our 4 attempted distribution networks have failed at it. And that's because the strategy that's got us to where we are today. I mean, I've been working 80-hour weeks since 2013. It hasn't been easy. It has not been, it's not, brand building is a challenge. And I don't think the people that tried in the other 3 of the 4 places were committed to actually putting the energy, focus, time, energy to growing in those areas, with the exception being our Australian distributor. And even then, he's still got other projects. And
so why do you think Australia has worked as compared to the others, besides the people, besides the actual, managers or, distributors that were selected?
I mean, I think it works because the audience was already there. We already do have a small group of collectors in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And we have been shipping there from day one, whereas the other ones, there is no presence in Peru, no presence in Sweden, very small presence in the UK.
Yeah.
So I think that was a piece of it. And, our Australian distributor has definitely gone the extra mile. He flew out here. It's just one person. It's a single person operation handling, our entire company there. And all he does is ship and handle warranty stuff there. So he has inventory and just ships it out. So it's a pretty simple, low.
Okay, so you ship inventory to him, to his company, and they basically reship to any Australian orders they have. So it's domestic shipping.
Yeah, exactly. Except it's still a separate entity.
Okay.
So it's not, it's Findlay, Australia. But it's a completely separate entity there. They have their own customer service. They have their own channel. They do everything there. But it's definitely not polished and not to the stage we need it to be or want it to be. But it's doing okay for where it's at. It's just a challenge.
Does that mean I can't order in the UK? I can't order.
You can.
Order a thing. Okay.
We do ship worldwide, and we recently tightened our restrictions for some countries. We got hit with a lot of scammers using fraudulent cards. So for a little bit, we did restrict a handful of outside countries, but most of Europe's good, handful of Asian countries good, South Pacific. Like there's, it's not too restricted now. But for a long time, it was we'd ship anywhere in the world. But then once, a couple thousand in
you learn, and
back,
then thousand.
And we the thing is, so again, they pay for expedited shipping. So, Shopify will notify you when you get won't notify you, but your dashboard will say, hey, there's some sketchy orders.
Yeah, exactly.
But when they order at 2 a.m. and they pay for expedited shipping and our production team comes in at 9 and processes those, none of our systems are saying, hey, check for fraudulent orders. Their system is print the priority orders.
Exactly.
So now we have a new app that catches anytime that one comes through. It'll email me directly, and so if I now will catch it and have the option to delete it before the shipping team sends it out. So, but again, we got hit with a couple thousand in fraudulent charges that just flew under our radar, and looking at it, it was like, oh yeah, nope, for sure that's fraud. Like if we would have caught it or we would have seen the warning before it shipped, we would have known. But yeah,
exactly. Okay, this has been a pretty solid conversation, I have to say, especially towards the end. Right, you have earned your right to come into our lightning round. It is pretty much me asking you 5 questions, and if you could use a single sentence to answer each of them, you'll make it.
Okay, right. I'll try my best not to ramble. I got this.
Ready when you are.
Okay, one more sip of my yerba mate. I need all the energy I can get.
Fantastic.
Let's go.
Okay, what advice would you give to yourself 5 years ago?
Learn about Facebook advertising now.
Well, okay. Are you a morning person?
No. Hard no.
Okay. Yet, what does your daily morning routine look like?
Today's can I do an expansion on this one? Because today's morning routine was wake up at 9:18, look at my phone and see I have a podcast at 9:30 that I wasn't notified about the night before. And then scurry to get in motion. My bad there. I'd like to apologize.
Sorry. We had our own show.
Yeah, my typical morning is pretty laid back. I wake up between 8 and 9:30. Take the dogs out. If I'm at my girlfriend's house, she usually has some coffee left over. She's already left for work. I drink some coffee. Play on Reddit for a little bit, and get in motion. Head to the warehouse. That's average. Perfect morning would be I'm at my house. Wake up 7 a.m. I have a gym in one of my roommates is a personal trainer, so there's a really nice gym in my garage that used to be the Findlay warehouse or Findlay garage. Wow. Hit the gym. We have a float tank, like a sensory deprivation tank in the living or a dining room. Okay. So hit the gym, shower, hop in the float tank for 45 minutes, hop out of the float tank. My same roommate that's a personal trainer has an infrared sauna in his room. Hop in the infrared sauna, get out, and then take another shower, then take the dogs for a walk at this nice park by my house, and then head into the warehouse and drink my coffee. I've done that routine once.
That sounds nice. That sounds really, really nice. Self-care.
Yeah. That one day where I did all of those things was beautiful. And I sometimes my mornings will consist of one or two of those options, but rarely all of them. But for me, I make my bed. I do make my bed every morning. That's about it when it comes to having a
morning routine.
Regimented routine. And I've tried it. I used to wake up at 4:45 to lift weights. I've done it all as far as like morning routines. I've done more reasonable wake ups at 7, and it's just I'm a night owl. I naturally go to bed between midnight and 3 a.m. and I also, if I'm working late, my peak productivity is when everyone's outside the warehouse and gone. It's just me in here. So, I've just learned over the years that's just, I naturally gravitate towards, being, working through the evenings and that side of things. So, I think there's no shame in that if it works for you. There's plenty of, those I follow, a lot of my friends in the business world have the beautiful protein shakes and perfect yoga mornings and meditation. And that's just never been for me. And I still perform. So, maybe not to their level, but I'm happy with it.
Yeah. What two things can't you live without?
My dogs, caffeine.
Okay, cool. What are your 3 indispensable tools for managing your business?
So I guess Shopify, does that count? That encompasses everything through Shopify? Okay. Okay, so Shopify, Gorgeous for customer service.
Yeah.
And then, I guess Facebook, because that would cover Facebook advertising. That would cover our group. That would cover our campaign. And then Facebook owns Instagram, so it also covers Instagram. So yeah. There we go. Cool. Yeah. And then the third one would also, fourth one, little bonus answer would be ShipStation. We use that for all of our shipping stuff, and it would be, it's a great solution, and we've been using it from day one, and it helps, getting orders out the door.
I've had them on the show. Final question. What's been your best mistake to date? A setback that has given you the best feedback.
Oh, man.
Everybody gets that reaction.
Cool question. Wow. Okay. Just a second. I want to make sure I give this answer justice because there's been so many mistakes on the road. Oh, man. What mistake has been the best? Okay. This ties in answer number 1. Maybe 2. I forget which either one. Which one was what would you give your advice 5 years ago? Start Facebook advertising. Because we didn't start Facebook advertising until 2017, I consider that a mistake because we could have grown a lot with smart strategic Facebook ads. But because we didn't do that, we were forced to try to learn how to grow organically.
Your
We
community.
were forced to build the community. We were forced into like this, situation that we couldn't use Facebook as a crutch to grow. So I think the mistake of not properly, understanding Facebook ads, other than losing probably a couple $1,000s over the years, I know our budget each day was low. I think, that mistake really helped us build a stronger brand as a whole. So
that's a fantastic answer. That's a fantastic answer, Jimmy. Jimmy, it's been an absolute pleasure, having you on the show. It really, really went well. I enjoyed you. You're a genuine, down-to-earth person. You're building something that's a legacy to you, your name, and it's amazing. I might as well become a customer. Yeah, absolutely. So, for people who want to follow you, are you active yourself on social media? Do you offer advice, or are you on Twitter, social media? How best can people follow you on social media, or would you just prefer them to follow Findlay Hats?
So yeah, for sure follow Findlay, because if you're into hats and into good times, like, it makes sense that we'd probably be a good fit for you. But as far as personally, I use my personal Instagram from time to time, not my personal Twitter or really LinkedIn, but I am always happy to help anyone that has any questions, anything I can do to expand on what we went over today. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. My personal direct email that I've opened up on my other monitor right here all day, every day is Jimmy, that's JIMMY, at FindlayHats.com, FindlayHats.com. I'm more than happy to expand. I'm more than happy to, share, it's community, not competition. Unless you're in the headwear space, then you can just, not talk. No, I'm just kidding. I'm happy. Totally happy to help anyone in any space. Although funny, I did help a local company, and they sell really cool products that, they have hats as one of their options, but they sell a bunch of other random products too. I thought they'd use the Facebook advertising skill set I told them to push their other stuff. They've been pushing hats so hard. It's just kind of funny. It's like, no, what are you doing? So, I'm happy. I am happy to help anyone that has any questions. And also, like when I say don't hesitate to reach out, I'm serious. I don't get a lot of emails from people with questions from podcasts. I do. And so, yeah, more than happy to expand. Any questions, send them my way. And yeah, you can find the company account on just Findlay Hats on Instagram and on Facebook, FindlayHats.com.
We'll link to it in the show notes. Thank you so much, Jimmy. Cheers.
Heck yeah, thank you for having me, and take care and stay cool out there.